I think we all know that this upcoming election is incredibly important, but because of voter suppression, casting a ballot and making your voice heard can be a challenge for some.
People's names are being taken off voter rolls without their notice. People's polling location changed, so people will show up to what they thought their original polling location would be, but it turns out to not be the correct one. Or even voting intimidation, when people get to their polling place and they go cast their vote, they're intimidated by the people who are around them.
It's no surprise that the last election in 2016 was an election where there was a very low turnout, and that's because a lot of people have lost hope in the system, but I feel like we can inspire more.
A 19, 20-year-old hears civic duty, and they just think that it's something that someone older than them is supposed to deal with. So we got to figure out a way to get them passionate, to get them to understand that their vote counts.
At Students for Justice, we are actually trying to do something. And we're trying to make a impactful difference against voter suppression, low voter turnout, and many other things. We are doing this in order to fight against major oppression and tyranny, and to make a difference within our community. To do this, we are using postcards, phone banks, text banks, really anything that we have at our disposal to do that.
What political engagement means to me personally just comes down to being aware of what's happening in politics, because if you're not aware of what's going on, you can't really engage, and I find it quite easy to be aware.
We call in a few states: North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, Texas, and Florida. And we are calling these communities because in these areas, the deregistration numbers are incredibly high. So we're trying to provide these voters with accurate, important information about voting and what ways they have available to vote, and the process and what they need to be ready for this upcoming election.
I started with my 600 postcards, and I recruited about 20 people to write all of them, and I had so much interest. I got another 600, and I got another 600, and it just spiraled out to where I've now distributed about 7,000 postcards. I feel that these postcards are really going to make or break this election.
We're developing pictures, videos, Instagram stories, a bunch of different media to test in the market and see if we can kind of get people to come out and vote based on convincing them that these reasons that they think are barriers to them voting, so be that a lack of information or a lack of excitement, and tell them that that's not a reason to not get involved in the process.
"18 to 24-year-olds are starting to get more engaged. I think it's become a trend on social media to post things about political issues on your pages, and we can use that to our advantage to really educate our population.
We've been making these short little videos or PSAs, whatever you want to call them, to try to motivate pretty much our generation to get to the polls in November. I think if you convey a message in a really heartfelt way and with a lot of sincerity, whether it's comedy or whether it's a horror or drama or whatever it is, I think it'll be really effective.
I'm so proud of the work that we do, providing critical voting information to others, and knowing that because of our work, those who may not have participated in this election will now do so.
From my personal perspective, I grew up in a country, I grew up in Cuba, where I wasn't able to vote, and I think it's a right we all should have. It should be up to us who represent us. So we all should get to the polling and vote.
I feel like when you don't exercise your rights to vote, especially for me being an African-American male, It's sort of a slap in our face to our ancestors that fought so hard for the right to vote.
If we can harness the power of our widespread information to make this positive impact, I think we're golden.
People are not a part of the system because they don't feel involved in it, and if you reach out to them and involve them, then they'll come with you on that journey.
People getting active, becoming more aware of how any government works, and pretty much doing their part to speak on behalf of what their beliefs is, or standing for the beliefs of other people, whether that is speaking online, or protesting, or even in this case, voting.
It's part of our democracy, is part of your freedoms as being an American.
I think that it's like the most important thing that you can do.
Like, it only really takes one person to really impact a movement. That's where my drive comes from.
One of the ways that we can make change in our society, around the world, honestly, is if we use our voices as much as we can. And I believe that starts with a vote.